The room was locked, the windows sealed tight. But something had happened. The clock on the wall read 3:17 a.m., a moment frozen in time. It was as if the world outside had moved on, but in this small, enclosed space, everything had come to a standstill. For the police, it started with a typical 911 call, a neighbor reporting a disturbance in the dorm. But as they arrived on the scene, they realized that this was no ordinary case. The room was in disarray, with clothes scattered all over the floor. The missing student's phone lay on the desk, as if they'd simply gotten up to get something and never returned. Hours had passed since the roommate had left for what they claimed was a quick walk. The police searched the entire dorm, questioning anyone who might have seen or heard something. But the more they talked to people, the more they realized that no one seemed to have noticed anything out of the ordinary. The first witness statement was from a neighbor who claimed to have seen the roommate walking out of the dorm around 2 a.m. But when asked to describe their face or any distinctive features, they hesitated, saying that it was too dark to be sure. Another witness reported hearing a noise coming from the room around the same time, but when questioned further, they couldn't pinpoint exactly what they'd heard. It was as if everyone involved was trying to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces. The police were left with more questions than answers. Had the roommate actually left the dorm? Or was this some kind of elaborate ruse? And if so, what was the motive behind it? The forensic team arrived on the scene, taking samples and collecting evidence. But as they began to analyze the data, they realized that it wasn't adding up. A hair found on the floor didn't match anyone in the dorm. A footprint outside the room seemed to belong to someone who was nowhere to be found. The more they dug, the more they realized that this case was a complex web of contradictions. Detectives were baffled by the lack of physical evidence. No signs of forced entry or exit, no signs of struggle, no signs of anything out of the ordinary. It was as if the room had been locked and the student had simply vanished into thin air. As the investigation continued, more and more questions arose. Was this a prank gone wrong or something more sinister? Had the roommate actually left? Or was this some kind of elaborate hoax? And what had happened to the missing student? The police were left with more questions than answers, and the public was beginning to take notice. Media outlets were speculating about the case, with theories ranging from a clever prank to a full-blown kidnapping. But as the police dug deeper, they realized that this was no ordinary case. It was a mystery that would leave everyone involved questioning their own memories and sanity. The disappearance of the roommate had opened a Pandora's box of questions and uncertainties. As the investigation continued, it became clear that this was a case that would challenge everything we thought we knew about evidence, witnesses, and the darker side of human nature. But one thing was certain. The truth was out there, hidden somewhere in the complex web of clues and contradictions. And it was up to the police to unravel the mystery, no matter how strange or complex it seemed. The clock on the wall still read 3:17 a.m., a moment frozen in time. But as the investigation continued, it became clear that this was a case that would change everything. A case that would leave everyone involved wondering what really happened in that locked room and where had the roommate gone. The investigation heats up. As police dug deeper into the disappearance of the college student, they were convinced they had a clear case, or so it seemed. The room was locked, the windows sealed, and a cryptic message on the missing student's phone hinted at a potential suspect. But with every new lead, the more questions they had. The investigation had reached a boiling point, and the truth was nowhere to be found. Detectives interviewed witnesses, including the roommates' classmates and friends, who provided conflicting accounts of the events leading up to the disappearance. Rachel, a fellow student, claimed she saw the missing student arguing with a classmate just hours before they vanished. However, when detectives questioned the alleged classmate, they denied any involvement, stating they were actually at the library at the time. This conflicting testimony raised more questions than answers, leaving the police to wonder who was telling the truth. As detectives continued to investigate, forensic analysis revealed more evidence that sparked theories about the potential suspect. A cryptic message on the missing student's phone read, "You'll never find me." The message was sent from an unknown number, fueling speculation about a possible stalker or an inside job. The police were now on high alert, suspecting that someone close to the missing student might be involved. But it wasn't just the testimony and forensic evidence that raised suspicions. The police also discovered a series of surveillance footage inconsistencies. CCTV cameras captured the missing student leaving their dorm room at 2:45 a.m., but the footage from the hallway outside the room was fuzzy and unclear. It was as if someone had tampered with the cameras, making it difficult for detectives to piece together the events leading up to the disappearance. The investigation was now at a critical juncture. The police had multiple leads, conflicting testimony, and a cryptic message on the missing student's phone. They were convinced they were closing in on the truth, but the more they dug, the more questions they had. The question on everyone's mind was, who was behind the disappearance, and what happened to the missing student in those final hours? As the police continued to investigate, they discovered a pattern of strange occurrences surrounding the missing student. Neighbors reported hearing strange noises coming from the missing student's room in the days leading up to their disappearance. Friends and classmates described the missing student as increasingly paranoid and isolated in the weeks leading up to their vanishing. The police were now faced with a daunting task, separating fact from fiction and piecing together the events leading up to the disappearance. They had to consider every possibility, no matter how unlikely, and follow every lead, no matter how small. The investigation was heating up, and the truth was finally starting to emerge. But it was a truth that would challenge everything the police thought they knew about the case. As the police continued to dig, they uncovered a web of secrets and lies that had been hidden in plain sight. The missing students' roommates, friends, and classmates all seemed to be hiding something, and the police were determined to uncover the truth. But the more they investigated, the more they realized that the truth was far more complex and sinister than they had ever imagined. The investigation had reached a boiling point, and the police were now on the precipice of a major breakthrough. They had to be careful not to jump to conclusions, but at the same time, they couldn't afford to miss any crucial details. The missing student's disappearance was a mystery that had gripped the nation, and the police were determined to solve it, no matter what it took. As we continue to follow the investigation, we'll uncover the shocking truth about the missing student's disappearance. We'll meet the detectives who worked tirelessly to solve the case and the experts who helped piece together the evidence. And we'll explore the psychological and emotional toll that the case took on those involved. But for now, let's take a closer look at the surveillance footage that has left detectives baffled. The footage shows the missing student leaving their dorm room at 2:45 a.m. But what happened after that is unclear. The camera outside the room is fuzzy, and the timestamp is off by several minutes. It's as if someone had tampered with the cameras, making it difficult for detectives to piece together the events leading up to the disappearance. But what does this mean? Is it evidence of a cover-up or just a simple glitch? We'll continue to investigate and find out. The police were convinced they had a clear case, but as they dug deeper, the more questions they had. The investigation had reached a boiling point, and the truth was nowhere to be found. But one thing was certain. The missing student's disappearance was a mystery that would haunt the nation for years to come. We'll continue to follow the investigation and uncover the shocking truth about the missing student's disappearance. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out what really happened to the missing student. And as we continue to investigate, we want to hear from you. What do you think happened to the missing student? Share your theories and comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. But what if the missing student's roommate wasn't who they claimed to be? At first, the police investigation focused on the roommate as a suspect due to their close proximity to the missing student and the cryptic message on their phone. However, as they dug deeper, they uncovered a complex web of secrets that led them to question the roommate's credibility. Research into the roommate's online history revealed a darker side to their personality. They had been active on several social media platforms where they posed as a carefree college student. But as the police delved deeper, they discovered a trail of online aliases and fake profiles. These profiles revealed a person struggling with anxiety, depression, and a deep-seated anger towards the world. One of the profiles in particular caught the police's attention. It was a hidden online account created under a pseudonym where the roommate had been open about their feelings of resentment towards the missing student. They had written about how their roommate had been sucking the life out of them and how they had been planning to take back control. This account was a game changer in the investigation, but it also raised more questions. Interviews with acquaintances of the roommate provided further insight into their personality. They described the roommate as manipulative and gaslighting, often playing on the emotions of those around them to get what they wanted. One friend even mentioned how the roommate had been known to create fake scenarios to make themselves appear more interesting or exciting. This behavior was eerily similar to the cryptic message on the missing student's phone, which had initially led the police to suspect the roommate. As the police continued to investigate, they stumbled upon another hidden online profile belonging to the roommate. This profile was linked to a popular online forum where users discussed various topics, including true crime. The roommate had been active on this forum for months, engaging in discussions about the darker aspects of human nature. They had even created a thread about the perfect murder, detailing how to plan and execute the perfect crime without leaving any evidence behind. The implications of this discovery were staggering. It seemed that the roommate had been planning their disappearance for months, carefully crafting a web of deceit and misdirection to throw off the police and the missing student's family. But why? What had driven the roommate to such extremes? The police were now faced with a complex puzzle, where multiple threads of evidence pointed to a motive that was both sinister and calculating. As the investigation continued, the police found themselves lost in a labyrinth of secrets and lies. The roommates' online profiles, their acquaintances' testimonies, and the hidden forum thread all painted a picture of a person consumed by their own darkness. But what had triggered this descent into madness? Was it a product of their own mental health struggles, or was it something more? The police were determined to find out, but the more they uncovered, the more they realized that the truth was far more complex than they had ever imagined. As we delve deeper into the mystery of the missing student, one thing becomes clear. The truth is far more sinister than we initially thought. But what if the roommate's secrets are just the tip of the iceberg? What other secrets are hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? The investigation continues, and with it, our journey into the darkest corners of the human psyche. As the investigation unfolds, it becomes clear that nothing is as it seems. Detectives had initially focused on the roommate as a prime suspect, but as they dug deeper, they began to uncover a complex web of secrets and lies. The roommate's story seemed airtight, but forensic analysis revealed a crucial discrepancy. The clock on the missing student's phone had been tampered with. At first glance, it seemed like a minor detail, but for the police, it was a game changer. The clock had stopped at 3:17 a.m., but if the phone had been in the room the entire time, why had it been set to a specific time? Had someone deliberately altered the clock to throw the police off the scent? The more they investigated, the more questions they had. Surveillance footage from the dorm security cameras revealed a person entering the room around 2:45 a.m., but the face was obscured by a hoodie. The police couldn't make out any distinguishing features, but they knew they had to identify the individual. They enhanced the footage, but the image remained fuzzy. It wasn't until they received a cryptic message from an anonymous source that they discovered a hidden safe in the dorm room. Inside, they found a note that read, "I'm still here." The message was unsigned, but it was clear that whoever wrote it was trying to send a message to the police, to the roommate, or to someone else entirely. The police were stumped. They had a suspect, but they had no concrete evidence. They had a mysterious message, but they had no idea who wrote it. As they continued to investigate, they began to realize that the disappearance of the college student was just the tip of the iceberg. There were secrets and lies lurking beneath the surface, and it would take a team of detectives to unravel the web of deceit. The police knew they had to think outside the box to catch the person responsible. They scoured the dorm's security footage, looking for any other clues that might have been missed. They interviewed the roommate again, this time with a fresh perspective. They even re-questioned the witnesses, hoping to catch a new statement that might crack the case. But as the investigation continued, the police began to realize that they were dealing with a master manipulator. Someone who had planned this disappearance with precision, covering their tracks and leaving behind a trail of misinformation. The police were in a cat-and-mouse game, and they had to stay one step ahead if they wanted to catch the person responsible. The case of the vanishing roommate had taken a dark and sinister turn. As the police dug deeper, they uncovered a complex web of secrets and lies that went far beyond a simple disappearance. It was a puzzle that would challenge even the most seasoned detectives, and it would take all their skills and expertise to unravel the truth. As the police investigation into the vanishing roommate continued, they found themselves down a rabbit hole of cryptic clues and eerie messages. But where did the trail of clues lead, and what was the true purpose behind the mysterious message? Detectives followed a series of cryptic messages scrawled on the walls of the dorm building, leading them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The warehouse stood like a ghost, its exterior walls covered in graffiti, the windows shattered, and the door hanging off its hinges. It was the perfect place for a clandestine meeting. But what was the connection to the missing roommate? Inside the warehouse, they discovered a series of eerie messages scrawled on the walls, hinting at a larger conspiracy. The words seemed to dance across the concrete, a macabre ballet of fear and deception. The police found phrases like, "They're watching you," "Don't trust anyone," and "The truth is hidden." It was as if the missing roommate had left a trail of breadcrumbs, leading them deeper into the mystery. But what did it all mean? Was this a desperate cry for help, or a clever ruse to throw the police off the scent? The more they dug, the more they realized that nothing was as it seemed. The missing roommate's phone had been found on their desk, but what about the mysterious message? Who sent it and what did they want to convey? A few days later, the police received a tip about a hidden room deep within the warehouse. They broke down the door, and what they found shocked them to their core. Inside the room, they discovered a series of Polaroid photos depicting the missing roommate's final days. The pictures showed a person smiling and carefree, but with a look of deep unease in their eyes. It was as if they knew they were being watched, as if they were trapped in a world beyond their control. The police were now faced with a daunting task: unravel the mystery behind the Polaroid photos and find out who was behind the cryptic messages. They scoured the warehouse, searching for any clues that might lead them to the missing roommate. But as they delved deeper, they realized that they were just scratching the surface of a much larger conspiracy. A conspiracy that threatened to destroy the very fabric of their small town and leave them with more questions than answers. The investigation may be over, but the questions remain. In a bizarre twist, the police finally revealed their findings, revealing the shocking truth behind the disappearance of the missing student. The person responsible for the vanishing act was none other than a classmate, someone who was considered a close friend. As it turned out, the classmate had been struggling with financial difficulties, and the missing student's dorm room was the perfect target. The classmate had been planning the heist for weeks, using their knowledge of the dorm's layout to gain access to the room. But what was the motive behind the disappearance? Was it just about the money, or was there something more sinister at play? The police investigation revealed that the classmate had been in deep financial trouble, with a significant amount of debt that seemed insurmountable. However, what was surprising was that the classmate had been using the missing student's identity to apply for scholarships and financial aid. It seemed that the classmate had been living a double life, using the missing student's identity to fund their own lifestyle. But what about the mysterious message scrawled on the wall? The police investigation revealed that it was a cryptic message left by the missing student themselves, a message that hinted at a deeper conspiracy. The message read, "They're watching us." It seemed that the missing student had been aware of the classmate's plan and had left the message as a warning. The case remains unsolved to this day, with many speculating about the true events that transpired. Was the missing student's disappearance a planned heist, or was it something more sinister? The documentary aims to shed light on the mysterious disappearance, highlighting the complexities and nuances of the case. As we conclude this investigation, we are left with more questions than answers. What drove the classmate to commit such a heinous crime? Was it greed, or was it something more? The disappearance of the missing student has left a lasting impact on the community, a reminder that even in the most unexpected places, darkness can lurk. The case of the vanishing roommate serves as a reminder that nothing is as it seems, and that the truth can be hidden in plain sight. As we reflect on the events that unfolded, we are left with a haunting question. What other secrets are being kept hidden in our communities? The answer remains a mystery, but one thing is certain: the truth is out there, waiting to be uncovered.